apart from the fact that under Section 11 we have taken over the functions of the State Assembly, beyond the Constitution, when we swore an oath, we swore to protect and defend the provisions of the Constitution. Now, there are two areas where this has been breached. One, the Section we talked about. Two, even Section 1, which says that nobody shall take over any part of the government. Otherwise, it becomes treason. It's there in Section 1. Now, once 5 people decide to take over the function of government, that is almost treasonable. Two, the issue of quorum is in the Constitution. So, where the Constitution has been violated and violated, it is incumbent upon this House, based on the oath that we swore, to defend that Constitution. Defending that Constitution, based on Section 89, making laws, defending the Constitution, we can't want anybody, inclusive of the governor. Thank you. But to say impunity, the breach of impunity has consequence, anarchy. We all know what anarchy means. We're democracy. We need to decide today whether we are practicing democracy, a constitutional democracy, or an autocracy. That's the decision before the House. It is after we make that decision, we now determine how to protect, that we decide that we are running a democracy, a constitutional democracy. How do we protect that democracy? I'm not sure what word to use. But there are 3 institutions of our democracy today that are being brought to its knees by a single individual. The institution of the Senate, the institution of the House, and now the institution of the judiciary. So it's not about National Assembly anymore. This governor has now added another arm of government, another institution, to give it the scant regard that he has given both the Constitution and the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, for me, be so high, the law is above you, and the Constitution reigns supreme over you. Doesn't matter who you are. I am tired, I don't know about others, of coming back and forth to this floor. This is probably the 3rd or 4th debate we're going to have on this same one issue without consequences. I don't think we should continue, even though it doesn't really take any time to come because it's such an important issue. I think we should do something decisive. Mr. Speaker, number 1, this House should look at the possibility. There's a dispute between 2 arms of government, not even 2 arms of government, between the legislature and the state government. I think it is time for us to seek judicial interpretation. We run a democracy, like I said, where there are separation of powers. To seek judicial interpretation, 1, we immediately ask for an injunction to stop the implementation of the so-called budget that is being passed, or rather that is being implemented, the illegal budget. 2, the interpretation of the Constitution and whether or not the House rightly invoked Section 11 of the Constitution. That's what the courts are there for. While I agree with the minority leader, Section 89 does not preclude the invitation of the governor to this House. He has no immunity. He may have prosecutorial immunity, but he has no immunity against investigation. The law is very clear on that. So I believe the House also invoke Section 88 and allow him, as he has done before in the past, to thumb his nose to that investigation. You only continue to build your case when he does that. So these are the 2 steps I believe that this House should see through very quickly and very speedily. Because if we don't, Mr. Speaker, this is my worry. Never. This is a litmus test. We will never, ever be able to invoke Section 11 ever again on this floor. if we allow one governor to get away with this impunity, we might as well delete. We're going for a constitutional amendment right now. So we might as well delete provision from our constitution, because it is all bark and no bite. So I personally believe, and it saddens me that I was here as the leader of the House, conducting government business, and also at the same time today, pillorying the governor and the governor of Kogi State for impunity. Something I stood up against every day for several years. I now have to do that, even as the leader of the House. So, Mr. Speaker, I believe those two alternatives are available to us now. I believe the prayers should be amended accordingly. I also want to agree with Honorable Ogariwe. He raises a very, very germane point. There is only one commander-in-chief. We don't have two. We only have one commander-in-chief, to whom the military objected to. The governor has no right or no powers under the Constitution or any law to deploy military. So the question arises, who deployed the military to the State Assembly? I do not believe it was the president. It's part of the immunity, it's part of the impunity of the governor. I do not believe it is the president. I do not believe it was the commander-in-chief. I believe it was done by the governor. So under what authority? Apart from the fact that the police constitutionally are the ones that are supposed to be in charge of law and order. The role of the military is very clear under our constitution. It is for the purposes of insurrection and defense of country and territory. It's not to protect a certain number of members of a state assembly. So I believe there are issues, very important issues that have been raised. We have intervened on this several times. We have set up several committees, one led by Honorable Pali, another one led by me to investigate the issue. We have considered the report. We have adopted the report. And now this. There has to be a line that needs to be drawn at some point. And today is the day we need to draw that line. We need to invite the governor, and at the same time, if we can do it at the same time, we need to initiate proceedings for the court to determine and let the hammer fall wherever it may. If the court says that we were wrong and we did this illegally, then that as it may. But I believe an option, and that we're talking about the rule of law. I believe that is the way to go. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.